Hello everyone, Kate here from Keight Krafts, sharing with you another project for Hollow Tree Hobbies. Let's get started. So to kick things off, I am using a scrap piece of stripes and sprinkles 6x6 paper pad in the yellow, and I have cut one edge of it with the Slimline Hearts landscape just to get the little bit of a scalloped edge to it. And where I'm going to be placing that on my card panel here, I have taped off with a little bit of washi tape. Now this step is optional, but I wanted to keep a visual of where I'm going to need to put my ink. I mean, you could ink the whole entire panel and then just put on your little stripes and sprinkles paper, but I wasn't exactly sure at this moment where I was going with the process. I had a vision in mind, but sometimes the visions get away with me, but I think I pretty much stuck onto this one. So here I've got some grape jelly and some fresh lavender, and I'm just creating a bit of a gradient. These are both Fawn dye-based inks, and any dye-based ink will work for this, or you could use oxides or whatever blending inks that you have on hand. So next I am also taking a black dye ink. Make sure that when you do this it is dye-based ink and not archival or Copic friendly, or alcohol marker friendly I should say, because it won't give you the desired effect, and that ink handles differently. So we've got the little tiny paintbrush here, and I'm just picking up a little bit of watered down black dye-based ink and creating a bunch of splatter because you know me, I like my splatter. So off camera I have gone ahead and I have cut out all of my bits and pieces for the Build a Drink cocktail add-on by Fawn, and I'm going over it in a bit of Moonstone to create a bit of a glass feel, if you will. I mean, it's not exactly the type of glass that I have in my cupboard, but I don't know, I thought this color was really pretty because we're going to go in with some more of the stripes and sprinkles paper in the pink with the dots, and we are going to darken the edges with some of the raspberry ink by Fawn. And because I gone ahead and cut out the word enjoy with Oliver's stitched ABCs, we are going to add just a smidge of the raspberry to the bottom of each of these letters just to create that pretty little gradient that will kind of match our cup, or the inside of what our cup is holding. So once I've gone ahead and inked those guys up, we are going to move on to the little bitty cherries. Now these cherries are also in the Build a Drink cocktail add-on die set, and I've just gone ahead and tapped on my ink to give it a little bit of texture, and then I'm darkening up the edges with my brush here. So it's not fully saturated, but you get that gradient again. So next we are going to grab some of our Versamark ink and a scrap piece of paper. I'm just using the back release paper to some double-sided tape sheets, and then we are going to go over it with some, what do you call it? Embossing powder. Now, this embossing powder is a frosting embossing powder, and I've made sure to put a few alternative links in the description box below, especially for some of the other stuff that I've been using. If you're interested in any of the products that I have been using in this project today, feel free to check them out after the video, or pause the video and go ahead and look. They'll be all over the Hollow Tree Hobbies website. So here we have our Ranger Heated tool. It's a heated craft tool, and I have to say I really do love this one. So next we're going to do the same thing for the glass. We'll load it up with some Versamark embossing ink, and then we will do the same with the frosted glass embossing powder. Now I can't stress enough how much I do love this heat tool. The heat tool that I had before had a high-pitched whine to it, and it was fairly loud, but when I had gotten this one, I was really impressed on how quiet and efficient it is. I mean, it still has a bit of a sound, but like nowhere near the decibels of the other heat embossing tool I had. So I really recommend, if you don't have this tool and you're dealing with a loud embossing tool, try this one on for size. Again, I'll leave a link in the description box below. So we've gone ahead off camera and we've die cut a second glass from the Build a Glass die set. well, the Build-A-Glass cocktail add-on, I should say. And we're going to double that up to create a little bit of dimension. Now, you don't have to do this step. You could just stick with one, but I thought this would be kind of fun. So this next step, because there is a lot of texture in that frosted embossing powder, you want to make sure that you have ample amounts of glue that they'll be able to seep into the little nooks and crannies of the embossing powder, because it is a sort of plastic that needs a little bit of extra glue. So don't be a little skimpy on it. Make sure you put ample amounts. So you can see here I've got that line across my panel, and that's where I had the washi tape to kind of mark off where I needed the ink to go. So next we are going to add some of our Bearly Arts glue. We are going to line up our little scalloped edged paper here, and we're going to make sure that that tucks in really nicely against that line, and you still see that dark gradient at the bottom. So once I'm happy with that, giving that a mash down, we are going to go ahead in with some more Bearly Arts glue, and we are going to offset the Enjoy letters that we ink blended earlier. I've gone ahead and die cut them out of some heavyweight cardstock just to give that extra dimension and a little bit of a white drop shadow to our letters. I think this is a very fun way to add a little bit of interest to some otherwise straight cut letters. So once we have gone ahead and offset all of our extra die cuts, again, you don't have to do this step. I just thought that this would add a little bit of that je ne sais quoi. And we are going to go ahead and line those up on our grid mat, grab our washi tape, pick those guys up and flip them over, and you guessed it, add some more glue. Now, I really like the nozzle on this Bearly Arts glue. I like that it comes with a little fine point needle that in case you get clogged, all you gotta do is just feed it through the little hole, mash it up and down a couple of times, and you're good to go again. I tell you, the precision of it, it's a lot easier to work with. So off camera, I have taken my cocktail drink and we've added some foam tape to the back here. And this is just going to give it a little more dimension. Now again, you don't have to do this step, but I like having the glass kind of pop off the table, if you will, with the Enjoy underneath. I mean, I could have done that with the Enjoy and left this one flat, but I thought it would be fun just to add some foam tape. And of course, we are going to double stick. Now, this is very sticky foam tape, and just to give myself a little bit of wiggle room, I'm just going to add a bunch of dots of the Bearly Arts glue, just in case. You can see here in a minute. I'll flash that down, and then I just want to give it just a smidge over. There we go, just a smidge over, so I'm happy with the placement. And once I'm happy with that placement, we're going to add a little bit of extra glue. As you can see there, I lifted it up because I didn't put an adequate amount of glue because of the texture of the embossing powder. So make sure you don't skip that step. So next, we are going to take our little cherries, and they're going to be floating in our frosty drink. Now, doesn't it look like it's wet? That's what I like about frosted glaze. It's that it gives it that wet look, and I think it's great. And I had a couple of extra cherries with this, and we're just going to pop those down to the bottom, and we'll add a little bit more detail to those guys in a minute. So have you guys checked out the Hollow Tree Hobbies social media yet? Did you know that there is a new class that is going to be coming out? And just let me pull up the information here in a second. And yes, we have the Beginner's Mini Album class that Hollow Tree Hobbies will be hosting, and they have a private members group that you can join in on Facebook. If you are interested, you can leave a comment down below, and I will try to remember to leave the link to this group if you are interested in joining. So that being said, we are going to take a panel here and we are going to give it some moonstone because we've cut it just slightly bigger than what we've got going on here with our panel, which is 4 by 5.25. And we are going to add some glue just around the edges and a little bit in the middle because, you know, I got to add some in the middle, right? So we're going to write Hollow Tree Hobbies in with glue, and then we are going to line everybody up on that panel. Now you can see I didn't take the blue all the way in because it's not going to matter. You just want that edge to have just that pop of blue to tie in the colors on the glass. So once we've got that down, we are going to adhere all of our panel to our card base. So again, we're going to go around with some glue. You can choose to double stick this if you want. At this point in the video, I've forgotten where I had placed my tape runner, and I wasn't about to go looking for it as we were in the home stretch. So once I'm happy with the placement, we'll give that a good mash down, and then we're going to add some more detail. Now, I had found in my stash that I have some of these Nuvo crystal clear drops, and I thought that this would add some really lovely dimension to the cherries floating around in our frosty pink beverage. Now, I'm not sure what kind of frosty pink cherry beverage this is, but it really does look quite refreshing, especially with some of the weather that we've had. And because, you know, I do love my Wink of Stella, we are going to add a little bit of Wink of Stella to our letters, and that way it'll give it just a smidge of twinkly and sparkly and lovely. And once we've got that down, our card is complete. I really hope that you enjoyed today's program. I encourage you to go ahead and check out the Hollow Tree Hobbies website and social medias. And if you haven't yet, maybe add a subscribe button to your account. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.